Good to see everyone. This is a very important day, of course, throughout the world, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. And it's my pleasure to bring to this congregation an old friend and congregant of mine from Morristown. Mr. Teddy Halpern and I had the opportunity to meet really through your children and grandchildren who were my congregants. But we got to know each other especially well just a handful of years ago when you decided to become an adult bar mitzvah because you had never had the opportunity to really become a bar mitzvah as a child. We're going to hear your life story in a moment. And so we had the really profound joy of studying together, working towards your bar mitzvah, and being there on the day that you became bar mitzvah in front of your grandchildren, your children, the congregation, and also got to share the life story that is so important for all of us to hear. So Mr. Halpern is going to speak freely, and afterwards we're going to dialogue a little, and if people have questions, but especially everyone here, as Mr. Halpern speaks, I'd like you to think about something. In Hebrew, the word to remember is zachor. And really, by Mr. Halpern sharing his story with us, it becomes all of our stories. So after our presentation, before we commemorate Yom HaShoah officially, I'm going to hand out 3x5 note cards and ask everyone just to write down something that they will zachor, something that they will remember from today. It can be something that they will remember when they're doing something Jewish or not Jewish, or something in the world, anything you want, and then we're going to take some turns sharing them. So something you want to remember.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me for this special occasion. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah. Can I put up a little bit stronger? You keep talking and I'm going to listen.
I was born in Vienna, Austria in 1930. My family consisted of my father, mother, and a sister that's 7 years older than I am. Presently, she's living with one of her daughters in Israel, in Jerusalem. She has dementia right now, so she doesn't remember anything what goes on presently. She does remember things from way past, and now she refuses to talk completely. I was born with malformation of hands and feet, so for about 3 or 4 years I was in and out of the hospital, and in order to correct the malformation. My father owned a grocery and delicatessen store, and for a short while living in Vienna was comparatively calm, but in 1938, when Hitler moved into Austria, life became completely unbearable. But my father had already foreseen things that were going on, so he had already made preparation to come to the United States. But at that time of the United States government wanted to make assurance that whoever comes as a refugee to the States will not be a burden to the government. Luckily, my mother had 2 brothers that lived in Brooklyn, New York, and they were able to vouch for their taking care of them until everything would be okay. So, on November of 1938, Kristallnacht occurred. They broke the glass. The Nazis came and burned the synagogues, threw books and closed the stores, looted the stores and all that. And so my father decided it was time to go to the States. He got a visa to come to the States, but there was a glitch. Me being handicapped, I was not allowed to come to the States because the government at that time did not allow any handicapped person to become a burden to the state. So it was a dilemma. So my father didn't know what to do. So he went to the American embassy and asked them what they could do for me. The envoy said, I promise you that within a short while your son will be able to come. So go ahead to the States with the family, and within a few months, my grandmother and I would be able to come to the States. So they decided to go ahead and do it. Life was becoming more and more unbearable. So in the spring of 1939, we left Austria and we went to Antwerp, Belgium, to live there, because my grandmother foresaw that the government was not going to allow us to come in, so let's take a move and get a better life for ourselves. So we stayed in Belgium from the spring of 1939 till the spring of 1940, when the German army invaded the lowlands, Holland, Denmark, and Belgium. So my grandmother and I and other refugees, we started walking, or any way we could. We went to the northwest of France, ahead of the Germans. And as we were walking on the road in France, I became very frightened because I was hearing airplanes and bombs, all that.
How old were you at this point?
I was 9 and a half. So I went one way and my grandma went another way, so we got lost from each other. After a day or so, an ambulance passed by and said, "What are you doing here?" I was unable to speak because I didn't know the French language. All I knew was either German or Yiddish. So being handicapped and not being able to speak, they thought I was a little mentally retarded. So they put me in an ambulance and took me to an Indian insane asylum.
Oh my God.
I stayed there for about a week or so, but meanwhile I was writing letters to my parents. Luckily, one of the attendants saw that I was writing in German, and that person knew the German language, went to the supervisor and said, "This boy is not crazy, we have to put him someplace else." So they took me and put me into a Catholic orphanage near the city of Rouen, which is between Le Havre and Paris, on the northwest side of France. And I stayed in the orphanage for about 2 years. They treated me very well. I received a French education while I was there, plus